great. So kidnapped from the middle of school and put in this creepy ass forest. This is normal. It's fine. Totally normal. But I mean, at least there's no knife man.
Four protagonists, well, the two protagonists and the shady people who created their lives, Scout, Angelica, Andrew and Sawyer, wake up and they are in a forest and they don't know how they got there and they don't know why they're there and they don't know what's happening, but it becomes clear that they're being hunted by something and things escalate from there.
Lots of things are revealed about the characters.
I love 107. It's so trippy and weird and creepy, and it's like, what's happening? Why are these people, and what are they talking about? And like, then it's like people like Sawyer. Yeah, there's stuff that happens with everybody, and they're trying to figure out where they are, and they get separated, and they come together, and there's something that's tracking Scout, and who is this person? And like, there's just, yeah, I love 107, and just like the being forced to confront your deepest fears and insecurities as being told to you by your friends who you think have these opinions of you and that sort of thing.
Look, if you're trying to prove something, you're wasting your time. Everybody already knows I suck at hiking. This isn't news.
There was a part that requires I don't know if I can say this, a stuffed teddy bear. Can I
There was
say
a
that?
stuffed animal involved.
Yes, there's a stuffed animal involved, and that scene was so much fun to film for me. It was one of my favorite scenes, even though I had to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to go to filming that day.
So I don't do camera work for two that often. I just kind of
was this
do it.
107.25?
It's the one with EcoPub.
Yes, 107.25. Continue.
Okay, so basically, my friend Helena, who plays Autumn, came up with this shot idea where the one time in two we break the fourth wall camera thing, where we had the camera be Sawyer's eyes. And that's all I want to say about it, but basically it's this trippy sequence that I got to film not once but twice because we had to redo it because we had to add more actors into it. But it's such a cool sequence, and it's like so cool and creepy and nuanced. And it's honestly one of my favorite things we've ever filmed, just because the actors were so willing to go with my concept, and then like Helena's initial idea was so helpful.
I think my favorite part was I had almost a lot more ground to cover than usual as Scout. This was actually a pretty big Scout episode. So like you can just see in sort of the different places I am, that I have a bigger range of costumes than usual. I have to sort of show more sides to Scout than usual, and that was a challenge. That was really fun.
Favorite scenes in the whole episode, in the whole season, is 107.42 and 107.43. So 107.42, some stuff happens. I can't talk very much about it without spoiling it. But we filmed it on one day, and then, because we were rushed, we'd only done the one shot of it, and so I was like, you know what, I feel like for this scene we need A, a little bit more camera motion, and B, there is this speech that Andrew has that is so heartbreaking and crazy, and I wanted to give Joey another shot at this because he didn't really know the line when we had shot it the first time, and so I was like, Joey, I want to give you another shot at this speech. So we found out where we had filmed it. We drove out there, and we filmed the scene again. And it is just so emotionally raw, and it's just so good. Oh my goodness, I love this scene. And he and Jordan did such an incredible job with it, and it's just, oh my goodness, it's one of my favorites. My other favorite is the scene right after that with Kristen and Craig, and there's just so many things that everybody comes to terms with right at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
And it's really such a big turning point for Scout as well. Where he's about to do a real bad, and Angelica tries to tell him not to.
So what are we supposed to do now?
We both know what I'm going to do.
Scout, no.
And she has this speech that literally I used in my college essay because it's a speech that means so much to me, and the scene is, it's so powerful, and I just love the writing, and Craig has done an incredible job with this episode, and I think we really did a really good job bringing it to life. But we are all very sick of filming in the woods, so never expect us to be filming in the woods ever again after this episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
The by nature, the thing in the woods was that we perhaps controversially picked this one set of woods that belonged to Olivia Mioni, who plays Georgia, and it was a nightmare because it had these immortal mosquitoes who were immune to bug spray and left tons of bites. Like mosquitoes don't tend to come after me. When I took my trip to Sri Lanka, I wasn't bitten by like a single one. But those mosquitoes hate you and they will tear you apart. And so it was really hot there. We were being eaten alive. We had costume changes in the middle of the woods. It was a rough time.
The hardest part, this was a lot where we were dealing with coordination in the Eco Club.
Mm-hmm.
That was a time.
For that scene, yeah. That was really rough.
That was, because I was really only involved, 107 is the episode I probably had the least involvement in.
Because you never went to Mioni's Woods, right?
I've never been to Mioni's Woods. I'm maybe the only person in the two casts that's never been to Mioni's Woods.
Yeah. Yeah, we were originally gonna use my forest, which is a little, it's not as dense of a forest, but since we were using Olivia's, we also, it was so dense that we had to use a pass most of the time, and eventually I think we ended up running out of like areas that we could film, so that was difficult, and also, sadly, I decided it would be a great idea to wear flip-flops to filming one day. And that day happened to be the day of 107, and then also my feet were in the shot, so I had to wear flip-flops every time we went out into that forest. So, my feet had at least 10 bug bites every time I left the forest.
Yeah, the hardest part for me of filming 107 is, like with 106, capturing the emotion. We got a lot better at it. There's an action sequence in the middle of the scene that I also love. That took really long, but it was really worth it because it turned out really well. So I'm proud of us for that. And also, having to deal with all the mosquitoes and being in the woods and stuff we had to do in this woods, it was a lot. So, but it was really fun to film this episode, and I love 107.
107 is a lot of people's favorites. And regardless about whether or not it's yours, it's definitely probably the most important episode in the season. And I think it's one of the coolest ones to watch.
Yeah, it definitely is the beginning of the end for the season, and there's so much character development in it. It's very cool to see in a very interesting way. There's a lot of stunts.
I love 107. It's my favorite episode.
She never shuts up about 107.